the FNAF movie was really bad. I'm not even going to argue about it because it's like so straightforwardly bad. If you're a lore nerd or you've been following like the FNAF cultural phenomena for a while, it's all over the lore. So there's not even like the fun of pointing it out and going like, oh, that's when that thing happens or whatever. Stuff just kind of happens. Not a single character was developed or made interesting. The acting was flat and wooden. Nothing of note happened. Nothing really like cool happened at all. The movie like was pretty like was longer than it needed to be, but also nothing happened in it, and it felt incredibly slow and drawn out. It's just generally uninteresting. I had fun watching it because I was absolutely faced. Was it good, bad, or bad? I mean, I was faced in watching it with my friends, but if I was just watching it on my own, I would derive like no enjoyment from it, basically, because it was pretty bad. Yeah, it wasn't really shot like a horror film because they wanted to make it PG-13, but also they barely even focused on what I imagine should be the central aesthetic premise. Like, if you are going, the whole point is like the horror of mascot costumes and animatronics, right? So very few of the shots actually focused on that. There were a couple of shots that looked pretty good, I feel, because the animatronics they built looked pretty good. Like physically, they built good props. And there were a few shots that kind of like exacerbated the terror of how strong these things were, but not nearly enough. Like not even a little bit. I just feel like if they had a working animatronic or whatever, I feel like they should have shown more scenes of how inhumanly mechanically powerful they are. Like just for one, like have it bump a wall and just like knock stone off of it. You know, they're giant animatronics. They should be like 600 pounds. They should be huge. The floor should rumble when they walk. You should hear like servos and clicking as they move about. Like that's the whole thing, right? That's the aesthetic thrust of the whole game series. It's the horror of that particular genre of like creepy thing. So play into it, but they didn't really. They mostly just felt like big costumes the whole time, I guess, which is pretty sad. Because I think the animatronics they built, or like the costumes they built or whatever, you know, because they said it was both, they look pretty good just standing there. They look really authentic, but unfortunately they didn't really like move authentically. My impression from the way they behaved in the games was that they acted like animatronics. Like they didn't move in a very human way. Like they would move mechanically. So like a head will pivot and like a shoulder will raise, but but the way they moved in the movie just made them look like they were dudes in costumes. You know, they just moved around like they were big humans in bulky suits, and not even that big really, like 6'5", you know? Not even. The acting was terrible. Nothing interesting happened. Like the central conceit of the conflict was unbelievably stupid. I kind of just want to spoil it because it doesn't matter. It's so uninteresting. Like there's no, it'd be like me spoiling that at one point in a scene, it's daytime. Like I don't even care. The only killings that you see from the animatronics happen very early on in the film. And it's because the bitch ex-wife or like aunt or something of the main character wants custody over the little sister of the main guy. So she's like, I know what'll let the judge give us custody. The aunt, yeah. I know what'll let the judge give me custody over his little sister. I'll have a break-in happen while the main character isn't even at the facility, and that'll make him look bad. Like he'd been a security guard for like one day at the FNAF place, and then in the daytime the next day, when the security guard wasn't even there, they broke in and some stuff up. And then it's like, ah, well, this will make him look bad, so the judge will give me custody over his little sister. But then like the animatronics kill the people who are there, even though it's the daytime. Oh, by the way, in the movie, the pizzeria is closed. It's derelict. It's not active during the daytime. So there's dust everywhere. There's no like cool interplay where you have like a bunch of screaming kids leaving at like 8 p.m. and then you have the security guy go in and it gets spooky and he has to turn the lights off. It's literally like an abandoned building that he's just sitting there guarding for some reason from the inside. Also, there doesn't seem to be any knowledge from the company that the animatronics are doing this. Like it's kind of implied in the games, the phone guy is aware of the fact that the animatronics behave oddly and is kind of lying to you to make you more comfortable with your job because he wants you to keep an eye on them. In the movie, the phone guy is literally just like a call. He's like a job center guy who's like his job is like to just find you a job. Like he's not connected to the Five Nights at Freddy's place. Also, he never calls you over the phone. You know how you know he's phone guy? Because he sounds a little bit like phone guy, and the first time you see him, he's framed with the phone right next to him. It's in the 90s, so he's got like he's got like the phone right next to him, so it's like he's the phone guy, but there's no like recordings or whatever. He just watches like a training tape on the TV at some point. And that's it. So, yeah. What do you mean not connected? He was the guy in the suit at the end? Wait, that William Afton was the phone guy? Oh, I was really drunk. Okay, wait, that's even stupider. So, okay, William Afton was the phone guy, and William Afton, who's this roboticist genius who made the animatronics. Okay, I need to tell you how stupid this was, okay? So let me tell you the story of William Afton. Okay, you're going to lose your shit at this, okay? You're going to lose your shit at this, all right? So William Afton, genius roboticist, apparently works as a desk job at a like jobs referral center. His job is literally to sit there and people will come into the office and be like, "Hey, I'm down on my luck and I don't have any money." And he'll be like, "Here, have like a pizza shop job or something." So the protag, the security guard, you know, Mike, gets the job and he gets like his little training blurb or whatever. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to skip a bunch of shit, but then for incredibly contrived reasons, Mike has his little sister at the pizzeria, along with, I'm not kidding here, Vanessa, the white woman security guard from Security Breach, who for some reason is present at the Five Nights at Freddy's establishment. She just shows up at one point. Like, she literally like knocks on the door of the pizzeria and she's like, "I'm a cop, let me in. I have a connection to the events present here." Like, she literally white woman jump scares the screenplay. And anyway, it's the end, and like there's this vaguely sinister tone as for, I don't even remember how we got here, but like Mike is having dreams about the missing children, and him and his little sister are playing with the animatronics. There was no Golden Freddy, by the way. Sorry. No Golden Freddy. No puppet. Unless it got mentioned, I didn't hear it. So even though there are 5 missing children, only 3 of them are accounted for some reason. Like, oh, sorry, 4, not 3. What am I saying? 4. There literally was. When was there Puppet or Golden Freddy? People in chat are angry, but like it's a really bad movie. Maybe you should watch it sober next time. No, I really shouldn't. Golden Freddy brought him to the pizzeria at the end. Oh, that's really stupid. Oh, that's... I don't even want to get into that. Okay, now, this does not exonerate the movie in any way, shape, or form. Whatever. Anyway, it's at the end of the movie, and the Mike and Vanessa, that's the white woman, and his little sister are playing with the animatronics. I'm not kidding. They build like a fort, and like Chica and Freddy and Foxy and shit are like under the fort for some reason. I don't know why at any point you would want to like cut down on the horror of these things by just having them like lay there, but they do. And then you have to trust me when I say this. From nowhere and for no reason, kablamo, Golden Bonnie. Golden Bonnie shows up in the doorframe, and it's like, oh, this guy's really powerful because he looks scary. And Mike tased the other animatronics because apparently, by the way, you can stop them and permanently shut them down. You mean Springtrap? Isn't he only Springtrap after he gets killed? What? Shh. Okay. For apparently, these fearsome animatronics can be stopped with a taser shot. Literally, he uses one of those police tasers that shoots the 2 darts and just drops Freddy, Chica, like literally, like oh, I thought they were like. My impression on the animatronics is that they were borderline unstoppable, and the only thing that kept them from breaking down the security door and like attacking the guard was that they were following like rules in their head about movement patterns. Like, don't go in the security office when the door is closed. I didn't know that they were so physically vulnerable that a single taser shot would literally just drop them to the ground. But okay. Anyway, so then Golden Bonnie or whatever shows up, and Mike is like, "I'm going to tase you," but it doesn't do anything. And Golden Bonnie, like, steps forward and smacks him like that, which I really don't think is how an animatronic should attack people, but knocks him back. And then, for no reason at all, he takes his headpiece off, and whoa, it's William Afton, who's the phone guy. Why is he there? I guess he was just like, he just like chills out in an empty, derelict room in the Five Nights at Freddy's pizzeria establishment, just like all the time. Like he just showed up there, or like he like got out of a car in the suit, or I can't even begin to guess, and I don't want to think about it. That's literally original lore. No, in the original lore, the pizzeria was still active. Why would he be doing that if there are no children there? So anyway, like, I guess his, like, pedophile murderer instinct sensed that there was a little girl there, or he showed up or something, okay? So then he takes off the helmet or whatever, and then I'm forced to ask, how did he just knock the security guard back like this when he's just a regular guy? He's using the suit in like suit mode. The servos aren't active. So somehow it just made him like, is it like mecha armor? Is it like fucking power armor? Is he like a space marine? He's like a 55-year-old dude in like a heavy suit, but he like, boom. That's not part of the lore. Okay? But anyway, like, he shows up and he's all like big and bad and scary. Now I need to remind you, at this point, it's literally a 55-year-old guy in a suit. Vanessa the cop has a gun. A gun. But he like shows up and he's the big bad. Okay? So anyway, obviously, like, he has to be killed, right? Because he has to be made into Springtrap. How do you think William Afton gets made into Springtrap, okay? Are you thinking there's like some big comeuppance or whatever? No, I'm not joking about this, okay? Chica is holding up the little cupcake plate, and then there's a flash, and the cupcake launches forward from magic, like being pulled along by a string, and eats away a portion of the suit to reveal the incredibly complex William Afton patented internal mechanics of the Springtrap system, which appears to literally just be like a series of metal ribs that surround the interior of the suit and make no physical sense whatsoever. I thought this guy was like a genius roboticist, but apparently he just made a suit, and then he put, like, for shits and giggles, a rib cage in there that can kills you for whenever it wants to. So yeah, that's right. Rather than his Springtraps being activated by like the moisture from the laughing and like the cry. No, it was the cupcake attacked him, and then the spring lock's activated and he falls to the ground, and nothing happened. Can somebody who's watched this movie confirm on my behalf that like the whole movie was nothing? Like, things just happened and there was no dramatic payoff or buildup or anything. I feel like even the way I'm describing it right now makes it sound as though there might have been some kind of cool buildup to his arrival, but it wasn't. It was literally just they're playing around with the animatronics, and then randomly William Afton shows up, and then a gun doesn't hurt him for some reason, and then he falls down because a cupcake ate his chest, and then they leave. Like, it is incredibly bad. Like, genuinely, I would give it, like, out of 10, I would give it like a 1. I would put it, I like, man, I feel like it'd be below Cats. It's really, really, really bad. Yeah, it's a cynical corporate cash grab that exists purely to make money off of superfans. The only good part of the movie was when Matt Pat made an appearance and said that's just a theory. That really happened, by the way. I'm not joking. He was a waiter in a restaurant, and he was talking about like a car outside. I forget what exactly he said, but then he said that's just a theory. And that's the part in the movie theater where everyone's supposed to soy out and scream really loud. Like really, really loud. The payoff is worse. They realize Afton is... Oh yeah! The little girl, the sister of Mike, convinces the animatronics to attack Springtrap by putting up a crayon drawing of Springtrap killing the kids. Like, the implication is that the mechanical directive that guides the animatronics is the children's crayon drawings on the wall. So when the little sister draws a picture of Golden Bonnie killing kids, they're all like, whoa, that did happen. And then they attack William Afton in the form of a cupcake flying at him. I remember that now, yeah. And then they play the Living Tombstone song in the end credits. That one, they play that one in the credits. Incredibly cynical. Well, that's something at least. It was nothing. It was nothing. I felt nothing for any of the characters. It was all incredibly bad. What a dog shit franchise. Nah, there's a lot of artistic merit to some of the stuff out of Five Nights at Freddy's. I think Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was genuinely like Kino groundbreaking indie horror, and I defend that. I think Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was not quite as good, but still generally pretty great, and I think it held up to that legacy. I think FNAF 3 was kind of bad. FNAF 4 was just like cheap horror fluff, you know. Sister's location was kind of interesting at points, but altogether was, I don't really think, justified the amount of effort that went into its gameplay changes. Pizzeria Simulator was good. That's the third best one after FNAF 2, I think. It's FNAF 1 and then FNAF 2 and then Pizzeria Simulator, I feel. And Security Breach was dog shit. It and the sequel. Was VR game good to you? I don't remember enough of it. I mean, I didn't play it. I just watched like Markiplier play it. I don't remember much. If I don't remember much, it was probably just like schlock. Security Breach was the mall one. My favorite part was when the main dude was just like, oh yeah, clearly it's ghost children piloting animatronics. Yeah, the like main character Mike is a narcoleptic and he takes sleeping pills to sleep on the job because he has vivid dreams of the children who died, the missing children, when he falls asleep at the security office. So like the animatronics are so non-threatening that he literally passes out at his desk and there are no security doors. He's literally just in like a room in the back. There's no like, they don't do like, there's no like security panel or like screen management or like big metal doors. So these like horrifying animatronics literally in the movie just stand at the stage motionless, except sometimes when you look at them, they like wink at you or something. Like they don't patrol around. To be clear, there is no horror anywhere in this movie. There is no like dread as Mike has to deal with them approaching or like try to figure out how to pacify them or whatever. There is no horror in the movie. It's not a horror movie. I don't know what kind of movie it is. I think it defies genre, honestly. There's one scene of horror. The only thing I can think of that's even a little bit horror-esque is there are 2 times, one is a dream and the other time it actually happens, where somebody is about to have the Freddy mask put in them. So if you recall, in the first game, it's established, the way the animatronics kill you, they don't like punch you or bite you or whatever. The way they kill you is that because you're there after hours when no humans are supposed to be there, they register you as an unclothed animatronic endoskeleton, basically like the frame that you put animatronics in. So they pick you up and they're too strong to resist and they put you down and they force you into a costume. And the way this kills you is that the costume is full of the mechanical parts that allow the machine to run, and your body basically gets blended as it gets pushed into there. Like, to me, in my mind, that is really evocative and really scary. The idea of like a big animatronic holding you down and putting like a helmet on you, but the helmet is full of machinery, so it just blends you down to nothing. Like, that's pretty good, you know? So it's too good for the movie. Because the movie is bad, I'm not kidding here, Freddy tries to put the mask on somebody who's tied down to the chair. So first thing, okay? The chair they're tied down to is like an old-timey mental hospital chair, which begs the question, why would endoskeletons have to be strapped down in order to have their costumes put on? Like it's like Freddy is deliberately killing humans, like knowingly, by strapping them to a chair. Like it's like a saw trap. Yeah, like I thought they just put the helmet on you and killed you instantly. But apparently they like pick you up and tie the like imagine Freddy like threading a belt strap through the metal buckle and then clicking it into place and locking it. That's what Freddy does with his big meaty. You don't see him do it, but that's what he would have had to do to put you there. There's no other way you could have gotten in this like strapped down chair. And then, and this is the dumbest part, remember how I said it's really cool and evocative how in the games, by lore-wise, they kill you by just sort of cramming you into the suit and you just get smushed into it, okay? He's holding up this Freddy mask, like in reverse, so you're looking into the back of it, and he's putting it forward, and I'm not kidding, the back of the Freddy mask has drills, spinning rotary blades all over it, like a saw trap that Freddy slowly and dramatically tries to put on your face. It's just a mask, not a full helmet, so it's only, you just see the back of it, and it's got all these saw blades. It has nothing else. There's no like machinery or whatever. It's just saw blades. And then of course it's like and you have to like escape, not get touched by it. So I don't know what like animatronic behavior is leading Freddy to grab humans, strap them down at multiple points to this like doctor's chair or whatever, grab the helmet that could have only been made to kill people, saw trap, and then slowly move it forward. It's not even Freddy, it's just a track that goes along slowly. Oh, is that true? It's automatic, so they have like the machine that holds up the front plate of the Freddy mask and does the buzz saws. So Freddy just straps you down there, and then they have the automatic buzzsaw head contraption device machine. Can I find an image of this? Wait, hold on. FNAF movie buzzsaw mask. It released a home video, so I feel like it should be. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I exaggerated when I said there was no machinery. There is machinery, but like, look at this. Okay? This is apparently the mask. It's like, you have this bullshit gear cog, whatever, and then you have this just like right here. I don't know what mechanical part of the endoskeleton this is meant to connect to. Maybe it's because William Afton is a genius. You need a blender inside of the helmet. The other weird thing is, why is it just the mask rather than a whole face? Like, this sounds like a really nerdy lore detail, but the only reason there were separate masks in the sister location and like FNAF 2 is because those were different plasticky animatronics. Freddy has a single head that gets inserted from the top. There isn't like a plate on the front and then a plate on the back that get connected around the endoskeleton. It's just a big plush head. That's all of them at this point. All of them have like a big headpiece that goes on. But here it's like, I don't know. It's really bad. It's a very bad movie. So go watch it. Reward them with your money. Why not? All right. This rant took too long. I'll do donations tomorrow. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It does make me kind of wish that I could do a FNAF movie just because like it was so bad I felt like I could do better. Here, I'll say, wait, before I leave, okay? I'll say this much. Okay? People like to hate on FNAF performatively, but genuinely I feel like there's a lot of creative juice in there, or at least there was. So I do think it's kind of sad to see it sort of cynically torn apart like this. Of course, a lot of the cynical tearing apart was done by Scott Pilgrim, Scott Cawthon himself, because he decided to make like in 50 shitty sequels and the books and all the contradictory lore and whatever. I don't know. The thing that really bothered me was that, I've said this before, but like, I actually wrote FNAF fanfiction at one point because there's one very specific horror/supernatural premise that I really, 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 really like. And it's having conventional tools to deal with a supernatural threat. So I thought like, the idea of animatronics having to fight against like cops or something could make for a really compelling story. Because in the FNAF games, it's like horror. It's like dream logic. Like you're just sitting there dealing with the horror or whatever. They don't really logically make sense. Like obviously the security guard would not come back for a second day at work after the first day. Like Mike would go through one day of having Chica and Bonnie stare at him through the window. And then he'd be like, wow, that's cool. And then he'd fucking leave. He would not go back. So it's not like super logical, whatever. But the idea of like, if you can imagine like a police squad or whatever, they're like, oh, some guy's trapped in here. They go in there and then you see an animatronic. It's like they shoot the animatronic. Well, what does shooting do to an animatronic? Probably not that much, right? What are the rules? Like, what are the actual magical rules? I feel like I remembered enjoying this in Control, the game Control. But the problem is that in order to deal with the supernatural threats, humans adopt supernatural tech themselves, and that I don't like, because then it's like we've escalated the playing field. If anything, I think the closest analogy would be Phasmophobia, which I really, really like conceptually, because you have this like vague, unknowable, magical bullshit, and the most that you can do to work it out is you're like panic flopping. You're like trying to flip through like 60 tricks that you've heard on like Facebook or something, you know? RE7 to an extent, but first of all, Resident Evil games aren't supernatural, right? Like it's all that mold, undead, virus zero crap. It's supernatural like logically, but you know, Vaush, you're describing SCP to an extent. To an extent, the problem is that SCP is not, first and foremost, it's not a full format. It's not a full story. Second of all, a lot of SCP is cringe. Third of all, the ones that are good are so short. I think SCP is conceptually really cool, but I want a full narrative around it, you know? You guys ever watch The Raid? Imagine a The Raid style story, except it's like sister's location they're going into. I feel like there's an insane amount of potential for that. Like a group of like SWAT guys who break into a big room that's pitch dark, and one of them like throws the light, and they see like the animatronic like staring at them with the faceplates open, and then it goes dark again, and it's like it only moves during the, you know what I mean? Like I and then like up and people getting killed because they don't know the rules, and like the one survivor who's the main protagonist has to like be smarter than everyone else and figure out the rules, and they hear like the shuddering in the vents, they're trying to figure it all out and put it together, and it's like a mystery story, but it's a mystery story surrounded by supernatural rules they have to work to figure out. I think that's a really cool I think that's a really cool premise, and it's been done before. It's not crazy unique. But I like the idea of having someone in that situation trying to figure things out. Like, can you imagine that if you were in that situation in like FNAF 1 or whatever? What are the rules with the animatronics? How do they move? Exactly. Why do they act this way? Why do they stop at certain barriers other than other? Like, imagine how satisfying it could be for a narrative reveal that the protagonist discovers on their own, that their behavior is not purely malicious, but instead constrained by a set of poorly set out guidelines that limit their off-hours animatronic use. When it's like, hey, why don't they go in the bathroom? Like, that's something, right? Like, maybe like you try to escape them and you like flee into the bathroom. You think you're about to die because you're getting chased by like Bonnie or whatever. And then Bonnie stops the bathroom line, just wanders off. And it's like, wait, why would an animatronic be programmed to wander into the bathroom? Obviously, that'd be like a no-go zone. They don't leave the pizzeria, they don't go into the bathroom, right? So that's a safe zone, you know? Like, and that could, you could like learn that, you know what I mean? But then maybe that gets challenged later because another animatronic, like say Foxy, which doesn't wander around freely, can go in, because if it can move at all, that's a break from its rules, which permit it to wander the place anyway. So maybe it can follow rules that the others can't, or it's not bound by certain rules. I think that narratively, figuring that out in like a mystery horror scenario could be really good. That's my opinion. And I've always felt like FNAF is a pretty good sort of vector for that narrative through line, that like style, because it's just on the cusp of being vaguely supernatural enough that there is a legitimate mystery to it, but it's also like not so vague that it feels like you'd be making up bullshit. You could construct a set of rules that guides the behavior of the animatronics that's consistent and understandable, but still like very difficult to immediately grasp. You could work towards something that people would go, oh, I get that. Okay, so those are the rules. I understand why those make sense, even if they're fundamentally bound in like supernatural logic because they're puppeted by children. Please, I need to know what happens in your fanfic. Tell us. Kind of like what I said, I guess. I think it was just, this was so long ago. It was kind of just the security guard couldn't leave. It was I think it was in the FNAF 2 location, and the security guard didn't want to get up and leave because it was after the bite. So he came back to work after the bite. So the place never got turned back on by the day shift. So he thought that his shift would be over at 6, but it wasn't. Nobody showed up. So it's like 7, and he's like, wait, am I stuck here forever now? And he's still trying to survive the animatronics or whatever. So he calls the police. Like, he's just like, it. And he basically says like, well, there's a hostage situation here. I'm the hostage. Holy shit, please help. And at first it doesn't get taken seriously. So the cops are like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is like an old pizzeria. It just like got closed yesterday for some weird kid who got murdered or whatever. Like, but you know, like that shit. But then it like escalates, and eventually it's like a SWAT team break-in, and it's just sort of the play-by-play of them trying to figure out the rules. They were like, just sort of realistically, you can imagine like a police officer would be very there'd be a lot to say and discuss after, like, I don't know, gunning down Toy Chica or whatever. Like, what the was that? It wasn't very good, but you know, the concept still works. I like the idea. Thank you.